The Houston Texans have a huge matchup coming up this week against the Browns in the wild card round of the NFL playoffs. Guys, welcome back to Off the Gridiron, your Apollo HOU Houston Texans podcast. My name's Noah Outlaw. I'm here as always with Garrett Harrelson. What's up, brother?
Wait a minute. This isn't Friday. This is Wednesday.
This is a Wednesday. It's a
Yeah, this
Wednesday
is
program.
a Wednesday special
Yeah.
because this is the biggest game the Texans have had in years, probably since their last playoff game 4 years ago.
Absolutely.
So huge, lots of things to talk about, lots of moving parts because this game is going to look a lot different than it did a few weeks ago. A lot different.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Obviously, a few weeks ago, the Texans played the Browns, but under much different circumstances.
absolutely.
CJ Stroud obviously did not play that game. Case Keenum got the start there. And the Texans, there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it, got absolutely dominated in every facet of that game.
We got dog walked. We got dog walked. Not really not only on the offensive side, but on the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
They did a lot of things in their. They worked a lot of things in their favor.
Yeah.
That kind of usually we don't do. Usually the mistakes that we make, we don't make those mistakes. Usually we're great against the pass, or we're limited. We limit the pass very well. That didn't happen.
No.
But hey, we got some key guys coming back. We have some help on the way this time.
Mm-hmm. Well, like you mentioned, CJ Stroud obviously didn't play in that game, but neither did Will Anderson. Wasn't able to go that game. There was a lot of guys that were just not healthy after that Jets game. I think the week or two prior to that. So 2 weeks before that. So like I said, a lot of different moving parts. And I think in today's episode, we're going to kind of break down the X factors on each side of the ball for the Texans, the guys that we're going to be looking to get us this win. And like Garrett mentioned, the guys are going to be ready. We have injuries, but this is the most important game since the divisional round in 2019. I'd say probably, absolutely. So the guys are going to be full go. It's all hands on deck. And obviously we'll talk about on Friday, we'll have a normal episode where we kind of talk about keys to the game itself, game plan, who to stop, how to maybe limit Amari Cooper from getting 265 yards again. Maybe
that would be nice.
It'd be wonderful if he couldn't do that. Or
that
Joe Flacco maybe not throw 3 touchdowns. But yeah, we're gonna jump into it. And Garrett, start with your first offensive X factor.
Yeah, so we're going to jump on the offensive side of things for the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to beat around the bushes here. Our shared X factor is CJ Stroud.
Yeah,
CJ Stroud is. He's the head. He is the head of the snake. He is the key to this game. If CJ plays well, the Texans play well, and we probably win. If CJ does not play well, I'm not saying he won't, but he's a rookie in the playoffs. You never know. If he does against a good defense, if he doesn't play well, the Texans, they won't play well. So he is the key to everything. That's the boring answer, but it's the most obvious. It's the most obvious correct answer. It's CJ Stroud versus the world. I know you agree with that, and I know everyone agrees with that. But there's some other guys around him that, like, for me, huge key factors. I'll start with one. Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz getting the game against Indy changed completely. Our offensive momentum changed completely when we started getting Schultzy involved more.
It's true.
When you start throwing it to him more, getting him going on different kinds of routes, get him open, good things happen for the offense. He's a chain mover. He's a mismatch for most guys on the field. One of the most underrated tight ends. I think you can agree with that in the league.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no, getting Schultzy involved is going to be huge because we're not looking to take deep shots, big plays. We're looking to move the chains and get first downs. Death by 1,000 paper cuts.
Yep.
I don't know if you have next, but I'd like to hear your next.
Yeah. So obviously, I'll go back to Stroud. Stroud's my number one X factor. The team goes as Stroud goes. That's why the quarterback position is the most important position, not in football, but in all of sports. It is just the most game-defined position in any type of sport. And we're really lucky enough to have a top 3 quarterback in the entire world at the moment. I don't think there's many teams in the NFL, Big Cat, and then we're talking about this on their most recent episode. I think there are 3 teams in the NFL right now who, if you said straight up, you could have, like trade CJ Stroud for their quarterback. There's only three teams in the league right now who would say no, and that's the Chiefs, that's the Bills, and the Ravens. Every other team in the NFL right now would take CJ Stroud over their current quarterback, and that's just true. That's just and we're lucky enough to have that guy on our team leading us into the playoffs, and that's phenomenal. So he is the X factor. If he plays well, the team plays well. That's just how it goes. But
Yep.
I think this one's fairly obvious, and I love your pick for Schultz, but I think along those same lines is Nico. Nico Collins is a guy who is on the year 1,300 yards, having obviously the best year of his career by a mile, and obviously he's just one of the better receivers in football right now. And
Yeah.
CJ and him have an incredible connection, as you can see from the very first play on offense in that Colts game was that 75-yard bomb to Nico. Nico had, what did he have? 100 and what? 90 something?
195 off of 9 receptions.
195 yards, 9 receptions against the Colts. So he's a guy who, if those two, if CJ and Nico are connected, good things happen, great things happen. And, obviously this Browns defense is really good, but Nico's a guy who CJ Stroud can absolutely slice and dice. And with CJ and Nico's connection, I feel like they're going to be able to put things together, unlike what Case was able to do in week 15 or 16, whatever it was, a couple weeks ago. Obviously, that didn't work out very well, but CJ and Nico just have a different kind of connection, and it's going to be really important in this game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Got to get the number one going.
Mm-hmm.
He is the clear cut number one. I know we were all year long like, is it Tank? Is it Nico? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Nico is Streets are saying he's a top 5 receiver in the league. I mean,
Yeah.
he had a top 5 grade from PFF. So
Mm-hmm.
like he is the number one. He clear
Yeah.
cut number one guy.
Mm-hmm.
So get the number ones going. Obviously, you got to get the stars going.
Yeah.
My next X factor, my last one on the offensive side, Robert Woods. He didn't play last week, but like I said, I'm not looking to make huge plays against this Browns defense. When they try to make you throw the deep ball and spend a lot of time in the pocket, that's how they get you. So their front seven sacks you. That's how their defensive backs intercept you.
Yep.
That's bad things happen the longer the ball is in your hands. Get the ball off quick. Robert Woods is always there underneath, finding the soft spots in zone, kind of, finding just holes like all over the field. He's a safety blanket for sure. He's a possession receiver. He's not the big shot kind of guy. And I think that's, like I said, it's important to get just the first downs, death by a thousand paper cuts, just methodical drives down the field. Schultz and Robert Woods gives us that safety blanket and the best chance to do that.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. And I think Robert Woods is a guy who was a game time decision last week, was really hoping he would play. Obviously, he wasn't able to go, but he's practicing this week. He's out at practice currently as we speak. So it looks, that's a good sign for him to be able to go. That's another weapon for CJ that takes some pressure off of Nico, because Nico obviously was the only guy out there who really was a consistent performer in our offense this year, because Noah Brown was out, Robert Woods was out. We were relying on Nico and then John Mechie and then Xavier Hutchinson, who are two really young guys who just haven't been able to get their feet wet yet. So Robert Woods is a guy who is a veteran, and obviously has a good relationship with CJ, especially early in the year. Robert Woods was like CJ's number one target until Nico and Tank started kind of figuring things out. So Robert, obviously, great pick for X Factor. I'm gonna go offensive line here. I'm gonna go Laramie Tunsil. Laramie Tunsil is obviously one of the better players on our team, probably the second best player behind CJ, or maybe Nico. But the deal is we need him to show up. We need him to stop with these false starts. The Texans dealt with a lot of penalties last week that we obviously overcame, but that game would have been a lot different. It would have been a lot more clear if it wasn't for shooting ourselves in the foot the way we did.
And having all those penalties against a team like the Browns is no go.
No, you can't do that, because they're going to take advantage. They're going to take advantage. The Gardner Minshew-led Colts, you can get away with it a little bit. Obviously, they did. It was close, but they got the win. That's what matters. But a team like the Browns, who have a lot of momentum, a lot of firepower, especially on the defensive side of the ball. If Laramie is getting false starts and or holding or anything, and that goes for the rest of the offensive line, but he's the leader of that group, obviously. That shit's going to be a no go. So we just need clean play from the offensive line and Laramie specifically because the rest will follow. So that's a big deal. I think that's a huge deal. So he's my X factor, and also he's a guy we're paying a lot of money to. He's a Pro Bowler. He's starting for the AFC in the Pro Bowl. We can't have that. We can't have that shit. So figure that out. Cut that out. Do your job. Be the player that we know Laramie Tunsil is, and like I said, the rest of the offensive line will follow, and the offense follows because what it starts up front. We all know that, and it's a very common term in football, but it starts up front, and it starts with that left tackle. So that's why Laramie's my third X factor on the offensive side.
Yeah, no, it's a great pull right there. Obviously, need to hold up CJ, need to give him protection because this Browns front seven they are lethal, they're deadly. They can get after the quarterback they can blow up the line
In
entirely.
no
Like
time. Yeah.
just ruin, and Miles Garrett is good enough to ruin your entire offensive game plan.
Mm-hmm.
So Laramie needs to kind of lead the charge on the offensive line side of things because gonna need protection as much as we can get,
Mm-hmm.
especially also if we want to run the ball. It's gonna be pretty hard to do that. I don't know. We both kind of agreed that it's gonna be really difficult to run the ball, and we have to let
Yeah.
CJ probably cook.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can get some kind of run game going as well with the offensive line,
Mm-hmm.
perfect, wonderful. That's just helping us become more of a complementary team in this game.
Yeah. And before we move on to the defense, I do want to, and we'll talk more about this on Friday. But I think a key to this matchup against this Browns defense is, like you mentioned, it's going to be really hard to run the ball. We both were just talking about that. Um, put the ball put the ball in CJ's hands because that's one thing that I
Yeah,
think we didn't do enough of against the Colts. I think at times on some crucial third downs. We were handing off to Devin Singletary to try to get the first down, which is great because Motor's been phenomenal, right? I don't blame Slowick for having that thought process at all. But the thing is against a defense like this, you need on those critical third downs, you got to have the ball in your best player's hands and let CJ do what he does and make insane plays and insane throws and let him do what he does. I love Devin, and I'm not saying don't run the ball. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't let Devin or Damian even you run the ball. Like
don't
I try it.
don't force the run.
Don't force
Don't
it. Try
force
it, especially on first and second downs. Don't be too predictable. Don't come out on first and second down and just run. Don't just do that over and over again. But I don't mind obviously getting the run going because that would be great if we could manage that. But on these pivotal moments and especially later in the game, put that ball in CJ's hand. Let him sling it because he's the reason we're here. He's the reason the Texans are 10-7 this year. So him and D'Amico, obviously, but he's special. He's special. Let him show out. Let him do what he does on a big stage, like a wild card playoff game in his rookie year. It's insane that we're saying that, but yeah, I love this.
it.
I think we both
Still
have
doesn't
good
feel
picks,
real.
huh?
Still doesn't feel real.
No, it
Us
doesn't.
playing.
No,
No.
not at all. But
But
the offense is going to hopefully get it handled, but also this Browns offense is nothing to scoff at either. With Joe
yeah,
Flacco and Amari
I've,
Cooper.
I've got I've got the numbers right here. Their offensive numbers when they played us a few weeks ago. Joe Flacco was 27 for 42, 368 yards and 3 touchdown passes, and
Yeah.
he had 2 picks. Amari Cooper had 11 receptions, 265 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, it another more. This is interesting, maybe almost as interesting as the offensive side because we're getting a few guys back that we didn't have. Uh, when we played them on Christmas Eve. And I think this starts with probably our shared first X factor this time around, or again,
Mm-hmm.
Will Anderson Jr. is playing this game.
Yep.
He didn't play last time against the Browns. Playing this time, presumably because he's limited to practice, but we're going to assume that he's playing.
Yeah.
Will Anderson playing in this game is huge. You
Yeah.
know, we got little to no pass rush against Joe Flacco last time. He was able to stand in the pocket and make insane throws all game long,
Yep.
stretching the field, making all kinds of just dotted throws to everyone. I mean, you got everyone
Dropping
involved.
absolute dimes, Joe was.
Yeah,
It was crazy.
it was impressive. And the thing is, it really starts with the pass rush. Pass rush
Hmm.
was struggling because also Jonathan Grenard left the game early. Jonathan Grenard left the game early,
Yeah.
so we got little to no pass rush. But Will Anderson, it starts right there. He's probably our best pass rusher, to be
Hmm.
honest with you. And
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and say my second guy,
Yeah.
uh, Blake Cashman. He's playing this go
Mm.
around. He also missed last game. And
Yeah.
Blake Cashman, he is in coverage wise, he is like a top three middle linebacker.
Yeah.
He's a top three middle linebacker because he is so good in coverage. I mean, you can look up the advanced metrics and all that. He is that guy, and having him back, it makes our defense so much better. And I know that Miko loves coaching him up because that's like his Fred Warner. That's like his Fred Warner out there. Obviously, he's not as good as Fred Warner, but
Yeah.
he's used like Fred Warner, just doing everything. So
Hmm.
Blake Cashman being back this game, huge, huge, huge. Especially when David Njoku has been heating up. It has had his best season of his career so far. So
Yeah.
you're gonna need him for guys like that.
Absolutely. I love the Cashman pick, and I'll go back to Will for just a second. Yeah. Look, Will is on the offensive side of the ball. Look, this past draft are two big names: C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson. Both of them, C.J. Stroud's a lock for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Will Anderson is in the conversation. And I think he has a better chance than what even Vegas is saying that he does. A lot of people think Jalen Carter is the lock. I really think Will Anderson has a chance to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. And so, obviously, going into this game, of course, he's going to be your biggest X factor on the defensive side. Not playing in the last matchup against the Browns, and also Blake Cashman. I love that pick because we missed him a ton last matchup. So, both of those guys are going to be great to have back. But Will especially, obviously he's banged up. He's been dealing with this high ankle sprain. He's been on snap counts, but 2 weeks ago, whenever he was played 12 snaps, had 7 pressures and 2 sacks. More of
Yeah.
a quieter game from Will last time, but was still just as dominant when it came to causing pressure and just disrupting that offensive line. Um, this week, obviously, need him to show up. We need him to be the dog that he is. So, I fully believe that he will. Will's a guy who he's got a motor. He's gonna go. He's banged up. He's hurt. It doesn't matter. He's gonna go out. He's gonna show out. So yes, biggest X factor is for sure Will Anderson on the defensive side of the ball. Another guy who we talked about, Amari Cooper, recently a little bit ago, having 265 yards last time. Ridiculous, by the way, just insane. Maybe a couple touchdowns as well.
It's
Um,
bad.
Derek
Really
Stingley.
bad.
Derek Stingley Jr. Is having the best year of his career. Obviously, it's only his second year in the league, but it has been great. Obviously, missed time, but even with the time missed, his numbers you wouldn't think he didn't play a full season just based on his numbers. And so he's been great, and it's really time for him to show out. And here's a deal, man, zone, whatever the fuck. I don't know what D'Amico's got planned for his defensive scheme this game. I need Derek Stingley on Amari Cooper every play. Every play.
Yeah.
I
He's
don't
not
care.
much
I don't care.
he's not much of a shadow guy because we have Steven Nelson on the other side. He's good, so we
Yeah.
kind of, whoever's lined up. But
Mm.
maybe this is like, hey, most plays get Stingley on
Mhm.
Amari, and you know what? Fuck it, you might want to also just stick another guy on there
Yeah.
on him.
Absolutely.
Double him.
Do
You
not
cannot
let Amari do that again.
even if he did half of the production that he had against us on Christmas Eve, it
Mhm.
would still that's still 130 something yards.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
still like a
Unreal
game winning
game. Yeah.
performance. Yeah, that's still a game winning performance. So you
Yeah.
really, Derek, it's great because Derek really will have to step up big time. Live
Yeah.
up to that status, man. Live
Amari's
up
a
to that number.
dog. I mean, we know Amari's a dog. Stingley's going to have his hands full, and I love Steven Nelson to handle whatever else is going on the field. But Stingley's our best corner. We drafted him third overall for a reason. It's time for him to show out. And like I said, I don't care. But 99% of that game, I want to see Derek Stingley covering Amari Cooper. And I want him to be on him like white on rice. Do not let him do anything Please. Because if we shut down Amari Cooper, obviously we need to worry about Njoku. There's other dudes that they have. But if we can shut down Amari, Joe Flacco is going to have a much harder time doing what he's been doing, especially doing what he did last time. And I know that sounds obvious, but because it is. But they couldn't manage to do it last time. And I mean, Steven Nelson was in and out of that game too. So obviously there was a lot of stuff going on. We got banged up that game. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But
Yeah.
Derek Stingley is going to be a big part of this win if we're able to win because of what he does with Amari. And I think that's I'm going to be watching that the whole game. I don't even care. I'm not going to look at the ball whenever the Browns are on offense. I'm going to watch Amari Cooper because he's terrifying. He terrifies me. He's like my new bookie man after what he did a couple weeks ago to the Texans.
He torched us, man. I mean,
He absolutely did.
he had a fucking career day against
Mm-hmm.
us, which is crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I agree. Derek's gonna have to step up big time. The whole secondary is gonna have to step up big time. I'll go ahead and say my last X factor. It's not a big name, but it's a name that's been very consistent in the last few weeks. Derek Barnett.
Yeah.
Derek Barnett has been one of the highest graded pass rushers in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
He's been ever since a great. What a pickup by
Mm-hmm.
Casario. Another one, obviously. I mean, fucking go figure. Like
Yeah.
guy's been Chef Casario has been cooking the
Yeah.
last 2 years, but I mean, picking up off of waivers, making a waiver claim and getting him, and having him just be pretty pivotal in this defense. I
Yeah.
mean, the pass rush, like we've had a number of injuries. It's unclear if Jonathan Grenard's going to be able to go. He's missed the last few weeks, and he's limited right now, or limited at best.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can go, but it's unclear if he's going to be able to go.
Mm-hmm.
So going to need someone to pick up that slack on the pass rush because, like I said, can't give Joe Flacco, who is money in the playoffs. By the way, we'll get
Yeah.
more into that on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
His playoff stats in his career are insane.
Insane. Yeah.
Uh, can't give him time in the pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot give him time in the pocket. That's how Amari gets open. That's how David Njoku gets open.
Yep.
You know, that's what happens. So Derek Barnett being a guy who's kind of flying under the radar as one of the most disrupting guys on the defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there's a lot of dogs on the defensive line, but Derek Barnett is going to have to be a guy, in my opinion, that hey man, make your presence known. You know, make this team could be your new home, your new long term home
Mm.
because he's a former first round pick
Yeah.
for the Eagles, Super Bowl winner. Want to help him win a Super Bowl, strip sack on Tom Brady to seal that Super Bowl.
Yep.
He's been there, done that in a lot of situations. Him getting out of Philly and coming to Houston, this could be your new home. You just jump started your career. Fully started off with having a great playoff game.
Yep.
Your first playoff game with the Texans. Go out there, dominate, pick up some of that slack from injuries and a pretty solid Browns offensive line. So yeah, dude. Derek Barnett, dude.
I love it. I love that pick. I think you're right, and also Derek Barnett's success here just goes to show just what a defensive guru D'Amico is. Obviously, we already know it's no surprise about how good of a coach he is, especially on the defensive side of the ball. But when you bring Derek Barnett in, who obviously in Philly wasn't getting the job done, they didn't know how to use him. He just wasn't really fitting. Gets here and, like you mentioned, is immediately one of the higher graded, edge rushers or defensive linemen in the league, and then also, just the way that D'Amico is using him and the way that our defense is just kind of supporting his success is amazing. And D'Amico is brilliant. And I know that conversation between Casario and D'Amico when Barnett was available was probably D'Amico was like, I know exactly what I want to do with him. Put in the waiver, it'll be perfect. And then obviously the results have followed. I love that. I love that pick. My last X factor on the defensive side of the ball. Here's the deal: the Browns' defense is full of DAWGS dogs. Starting with Myles Garrett, but that is not limited to everyone on that defense.
They're mean motherfuckers over
Yeah,
there.
dude, they got dogs. And I want us to match that energy. I want our defense to come in with that same energy. I'm going to hit you in the mouth energy. And I think the guy on our defense that as of late has really been the biggest dog when it comes to just being aggressive and just playing violently is Christian Harris. I think Christian Harris is a guy who's absolutely broken out, was having a tough season early, just since honestly he's come into the league. He's been all right at times. He's had his moments, he's had his flashes, but it hasn't been consistent until the last 4 or 5 weeks. And just is being an absolute animal. And obviously got a sack last week against Gardner Minshew. You were there early in the game, setting the tone. And it just seems like week after week lately, he's coming out hot, fast, strong, hitting people as hard as he fucking can. And that's what we need. That's what we need. We need that against Joe Flacco. We need that against Jerome Ford. Nick Chubb isn't playing. Imagine if Nick Chubb was playing in this game, I'd be so fucking terrified. But the Browns are still finding all this success, which good for them. But the deal is Christian Harris needs to come out and let them know real early that we're not playing games. That this is not the same Texans team that they played 3 weeks ago. This is not the same team. This is a different team. This is a Stroud-led team. This is a team with Blake Cashman. This is a team with Will Anderson. This is a team with Jonathan Grenard, hopefully. This is a team that's going to hit you in the mouth. And I think Christian Harris needs to lead that charge. And I think if he comes out hot and fiery, the defense will follow. They'll swarm. I love that's their whole fucking aura. That's their whole motto this whole season, and it's been great. But I'm really excited to see Christian go out there and just light kind of that fire. He's kind of just a guy who just kind of gets everyone pumped, I feel like. And he's a Bama boy, and D'Amico loves that. I think Christian Harris is going to have a big day, and I'm excited to see what he does. But yeah, that's my third defensive
That
X
would
factor.
that would be great. That would be great if he stepped up big because, like you said, Christian Harris has fully broken out. We know now that he's a dog patrolling the middle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's a great tackler in the open field. He's even pretty solid in coverage. Christian Harris is uh, he's now become like a pretty key part of this defense. So I love that pick. That's what kind of goes with that is we just need to be mean this
Yeah.
game. Browns, they play mean.
Yep.
They're intimidating on the defensive side. We need to do that as well. We need to pull out all the stops to try to match their mean energy
Yeah.
because I mean, this team are the Texans, obviously they're inexperienced, they are young. Can't come across as that. Got to come across as dogs, got to come across as intimidating,
Mm-hmm.
in your face, mean. We just have to try to, like I said, match their energy because this is not going to be an easy game. This will
No.
never be an easy game. The Browns have great coaching, great talent, and Joe Flacco is money in the playoffs. And we'll get into like who to monitor and who to stop and who to pay attention to on the Browns side on Friday's
Yeah.
episode. But yeah, no, those were our X factors on each side of the ball. And fuck, hopefully our guys step up because
Yeah.
if all those guys, if all those guys, all 12 of those guys step up, I think we're doing pretty
Yeah,
well.
I think we'll be damn good. And also, interesting, and we'll talk about this again on Friday. But I do. Last week I mentioned that was the Coach of the Year bowl, Shane Steichen versus D'Amico Ryans. But this is actually coming up is the Coach of the Year bowl. I mean, the two head coaches in this matchup are the two Vegas odds, the top two Vegas odds to win Coach of the Year. Stefanski is still the favorite for that. But if D'Amico comes in and leads his Texans team to a win, we'll see if that changes. But
I think a win in the playoffs would pretty much cement D'Amico as Coach of the Year, and
especially against Stefanski.
and if he doesn't win it, if we were to win this game and he doesn't win it, it's a joke. It
Yeah.
doesn't even matter
Oh yeah,
because like
absolutely. The award
that's
doesn't matter.
highway robbery.
Hmm.
It's highway robbery.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. Well,
but before we head on out of here from this special playoff special
hmm,
week of episodes, I want to thank our sponsors, Celebrity Mint. Go on over to Celebrity Mint. Hey, I love sports. Do you love sports?
I love
I love
sports.
sports. I love sports memorabilia.
Me
That's
too.
cool. I
Yeah.
love signed shit and like collectibles and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go over to Celebrity Mint, follow them on socials, the Celebrity Mint, for some amazing sports memorabilia. They
Yeah.
have Ric Flair trading coins. They have Mike Tyson trading coins. They're both legal tender. That's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to what they have to offer.
Hmm.
So thank you, Celebrity Mint. Go check them out. And
Thank you.
thank you, Big City Wings. We've already announced it before. We will be at, or I will be at. You're still in New York,
Hmm.
fucking cousin. You're still in New York. I just called you cousin, like the bear. You like that? Like it?
I do like.
Um,
I don't know if I like that. We'll talk about it.
yeah. Uh, Off the big city location, marquee off of Katy Freeway, 3:30 when the game starts. Be there, have a beer with me, have a beer with us, have some
Hmm.
delicious appetizers. Houston's Wing Joint, Apollo's Wing Joint. So thank you, Big City Wings, for sponsoring this episode as well. And be there, like I said, off Katy Freeway. Well, I'll put the address in the link, or the
Yeah,
I'll put the address in the description. So be there, and thank you again to our sponsors for powering this episode of Off
yeah,
Grid.
guys, make sure you go to that watch party at Big City Wings, the marquee location. It's going to be a good time. Wish I could be there, but I'll be there in spirit. And like Garrett said, go have a beer. Go have a. I think I couldn't do it. I'm doing dry January. I couldn't even have a beer with you if I wanted to. But Garrett, he ain't. He ain't doing that.
You're
He's drinking brews.
you are going to be drinking beer when the game is on. I
I
know you are.
will. I will think about it. I will think about it, but we'll see. I'm gonna try. We'll see.
You're
But
gonna
definitely
break.
go to
You're
Big
gonna
City
break.
Wings,
You're 2 weak.
and
You're
it's a
too
good spot
weak.
to
You're
watch
gonna
the
break.
game. What are you saying, bro? Well,
I said you're too weak. You're gonna break.
I might.
If especially if the Texans like score first or something, you're gonna be like, you know what, waiter,
I'm gonna be
fucking
bring the house down. Yeah, just do it. Yeah,
bring me
100%.
a cold one.
But it'll be fun nonetheless. Even if you are doing dry January, go get great wings, great food, fun environment, big TVs. Go. It'll be a really good time. All the Apollo boys will be there. But guys, if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like and subscribe. It lets us know that you like what we're doing. We really appreciate it, and hope you guys enjoyed this special playoff episode. This was fun.
Yeah, go
Hopefully,
ahead
we
and
get to do another one of these.
go ahead and comment your X factors on each side of
Yeah.
the ball.
Hmm.
I want to know what everyone's thinking and who everyone has to need to step up for this game because a lot of moving parts. Like I said, I mean, this is a all hands on deck kind of game. So,
Yeah,
who do you have?
absolutely. Yeah, let us know down in the comments, and we were down there. Me and Garrett read every comment and reply as well. So make sure you comment. It's fun down there. It's a fun place to just hang, whatever. And guys, if you make sure you leave a like and subscribe, like I said already, make sure you follow us on Twitter at Apollo Texans and Apollo HOU to keep up with Houston Texans and also Houston sports in general. And yeah, other than that, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
Watch Texans. Go Texans.
Back in my bag and I got